What's good? What's good? What's good? It's your boy Jay Shaw from the Behind the Bench Sports Network. Shout out to the Bench crew. Check out all our videos. If you like today's content, man, go ahead and subscribe. If you listen to some of our past videos and you like it, go ahead and subscribe. But most importantly, man, like these videos, man, for we can stay on the in the algorithm. But let's get straight to it. I want to make it. This is more of a conspiracy theory type of video. Now, a lot of y'all heard of the magnet balls and rims that the NBA uses. Uh, I done seen a video on YouTube that is no longer up. And in this video, they was explaining how it cost a lot of money to run this magnet ball and rim. And it had me thinking, because I done watched a couple Laker games in the past couple years where a team magically was hot, played against the Lakers, and couldn't hit a shot. I'm talking about shots up close at the rim, shots from three-point line, open shots, layups. It was just they'll magically miss. Like point blank layups would miss. And then on the other end, the Lakers is magically hot. It's not like both teams was shooting, Lakers was shooting a regular game and the other team had a bad night. No, I'm talking about everybody on the Lakers was able to hit. And the opposing team could not hit no buckets. And I was told that the it cost a lot of money to use that rim and that ball. Now, I question this whole in-season tournament because it didn't make sense to me. Now let's go ahead and think logically, okay? The in-season tournament took place in December, and I believe the championship game was right before Christmas. And the final four games, was played in Vegas. Now they spaced these games out, and I want to know, why did they set this up to be played in December? Because logically, people don't got money in the month of December to go travel to watch their favorite basketball team play in Vegas. Like, what fan base are they trying to reach? Right? Now, it's Christmas. You got Christmas presents, you got bills, rent. Don't nobody got no time, especially when you're finding out that your team is going to be playing in this championship game a week away from the championship game. Like normally, like, okay, let's use college football. For games that's played around Christmas, when the bowl season starts around the 20th, let's say the 20th to January 3rd. Well, the teams that's playing around the 20th, their season was done in late October, right? Season was done. They didn't play in no conference championship game. They didn't play, they a rivalry game. They was done. So they could book, they got like a month and a half to book that room and that flight. Same thing for teams that's playing around the first in the playoff game, or just New Year's Day games. They knew back in November, early November, that they could book that room and that trip. Didn't nobody? I'm pretty sure. Didn't nobody wait a week before the game and say, let's book the room and trip to go watch our team play. Only people that probably did that was people that was, financially fine. But average Americans, everybody ain't financially fine to be booking trips and air flight a week before wherever they trying to go. Unless it's a emergency. Normally, you book a trip 2 months in advance, a month and a half in advance. Reserve the room, book the flight, you're good. So with that said, it made me think, like, are they doing this just for Vegas fans? Why are they hosting these games in Vegas? Why won't you just host the games to the higher seeded team at their home arena? Now, I understand they got scheduled, concerts and stuff, but I think that depending on what artist, you know what I'm saying? But most likely, they know what dates is open to play these games at their home arena. So it made me think, watching these games, especially those Final Four games, because the Lakers looked like trash afterwards, right? Indiana, same thing, but the Indiana was looking real good versus the elite teams that they had to play against. The Milwaukee Bucks, the Boston Celtics, I believe. They looked real good. And those teams looked real bad. And the Lakers looked really good too. Now, they didn't play the type of competition that Indiana had to play to get to the finals of that in-season tournament, but the Lakers still was looking very good, making all types of shots, because they was at an arena where the NBA had their own court, their own balls, their own rims that they could magically take from the NBA offices storage and have them shipped to Vegas. I'm pretty sure they didn't play with the college team of Vegas rims. I'm pretty sure that they use their own rims and their own balls. It just makes you question, and don't people really question what's really going on here? Have they really brainwashed us for so many years? Why is the NBA the only sport that if a ball goes into the stands, they have to retrieve that ball back? Now, I'm not saying, that they're using magnets for every arena and because like I said, it costs a lot of money to use that equipment. It's almost like $1 million when I seen that YouTube video. It's almost like over $1 million to use that equipment. And the NBA don't have millions of dollars to be using it for every NBA team and every NBA city, but when it's games where they really want to control the outcome, they'll spend that money. Maybe they use the money from the fines that they get from these players on technicals and stuff like that, criticizing. But the NBA is the only sport you can go to a baseball game, ball goes into the stands, you can have it. Hockey puck, you can have it. Tennis ball, you can have it. Golf ball, you can have it. Football, you can have it. NBA, we need our ball back. Are they that cheap? Do it cost that much money to make an NBA ball? Why do they retrieve their balls back? Why you can't take that ball home? Now, they'll give you a ball. You know, they'll give you a ball. You can purchase, they'll say, this is the game ball from this game. Is it really? How you know? Now, like I said, this is all conspiracy. But these is questions that I've been trying to ask myself and figure out. Now, I remember listening to an interview with Ryan Russillo, and he had NBA. I ain't gonna say what team because I don't want to get this dude in trouble because he probably slipped up on what he said. He was an NBA commentator for an NBA team, and they said that they have to sign a waiver during the game, before the game, that they can't say anything negative about the officiating or anything negative about the game at hand. That's why when we have these games with the free throws, they really don't talk about them. They don't break them up on TNT, ESPN. There's nothing being told and talked about when it comes to these games with weird free throws, personal fouls, teams not getting to the free throw line because like I said in a previous video, if they speak about this type of stuff, they lose their media credentials, right? They'll lose their media credentials. Well, at the end of the day, these people, these journalists, these commentators, they still got to get paid. This is how they get paid, right? This is how they make their money. If you're an ex-player, you could risk being exiled from the NBA if you know something and you're telling the truth. You see what I'm saying? You won't be welcome to NBA events. You won't be part of that NBA circle. Ask yourself, now I done seen in Major League Baseball bad calls and the bad calls from the umpires, and I done seen the managers of these teams come out and talk about how bad the call and how egregious the call was and the strike zone and blah, blah, blah. I done seen NFL coaches come out after the game on the loss and say it was a terrible call on that fourth down, that holding call, that pass interference. That was a terrible call. And I'm pretty sure it done been some hockey coaches that done did something similar in their sport on a bad officiating call. Maybe the goal didn't cross the line and they said that it did, something. Offsides penalty, something. But they don't get fined. But in the NBA, let a coach or a player criticize the refereeing, they get fined. They get fined a lot of money too. Why is that? Ain't nobody asking these questions. Ain't nobody really thought about this. They get fined. Like I said, this is all conspiracy, but it's questions that I've been wanting to ask, and I would like to have other people's input on it. The league right now, they've been rigging these games so much in the last 5 years. that I've been noticing that when I first started coming on YouTube and making these videos, people are now just starting to see it. But I was saying it 4 or 5 years ago. Now, I'm not one of those people that say, well, you know, the NBA's always been rigged. If it was, they was doing a great damn job doing it. Well, you know what, the Lakers in the Sacramento Kings series, you know, that was rigged. That was fixed. Well, if you really go back and watch that series, I'm talking about recently, go back and watch the whole series and preferably that game 6, it wasn't really rigged. Not the way people make it seem. Not the way people make it seem. But, or people will say, now I do question a lot of stuff. There's a lot of weird stuff with the NBA draft, and you know, they used to have the ping pong. They used to show, if you old enough, you remember they'll have that ping pong set up and the balls will be bouncing and then the ball will come out, you know, and then they'll show one team and then it was the next team, and then they stopped doing all that. Remember, if you real old, they had the envelopes in the basket and they would turn it and pick an envelope blindly. That's the whole Patrick Ewing code envelope theory. But they used to show this type of stuff. It was exciting. But then they just said, man, bunk all that. We just going to put everything on the wall and we're going to say that this establishment only knows, this security establishment, they only know the outcomes of these, you know, of the order of the NBA draft. And then they, you know, DeAndre Ayton played high school ball in Phoenix, went to Arizona. Oh, he magically becomes the #1 pick for the Phoenix Suns. LeBron plays in Akron. Now he's magically a Cleveland Cavalier. Played high school ball there. Dwight Howard played in the South Carolina, I believe. This put him in Orlando because that's the closest to his region. Anthony Davis played in Kentucky, goes to New Orleans. But once Anthony Davis left and, you know, they, you know, buried them, they let Anthony Davis leave with the colluding with LeBron, and we're going to make sure we give you a number 1 draft pick, which ended up being Zion. And the same thing goes for Cleveland. We let LeBron leave, so we're going to go ahead and give y'all a couple #1 picks. And you can match this up with a, you know, the latest #1 pick. Yeah, he played in France, but let's pair him and put him in San Antonio because Tim Duncan was there and, you know, Pop commode him and, you know, they could go ahead and get there. He could be the new Tim Duncan of the San Antonio Spurs. See, it's a lot of questionable things. Like, let me ask this question. I remember at one time watching NBA games, it was 3 officials, 1 monitor. Something happens, you know, ball last touched by this player. They go to the monitor. They all look at the monitor. And then they all make a decision. 2 against 1. Or it's unanimous. Right? That was the call. Now, why are they putting on earphones? Why are they talking from somebody from New York or up in a booth? Why? What are they looking at in New York or up top in the booth that they're not seeing on the same monitor? They got 6 eyes looking at one monitor, and they can't determine it by themselves that they got to put some earphones on and get an order from somebody else that's looking at the play. When we all done seen the play on TV and said, "Oh, it's this team's ball," but then they come out and say it's the other team's ball, and you like, hold up, nah, I know what I seen. So ain't nobody asking these questions. Ain't nobody asking these questions. Why are they? We done heard players say that they get memos from the NBA on how they need to referee games. They send certain referees to referee certain players in certain teams. See, but when it's bad calls in the NFL, they get punished. Just this year, it was I guess it was what was it? The Detroit game, when they had the ineligible receiver, that crew got punished that they're not refereeing none of the playoff games. At least the NFL will punish their referees. They don't punish these referees. Why? Because they're the ones getting orders. They can't punish somebody when you're getting the order to do this dirty work from Adam Silver. That's why the referees don't get punished. Because they're being ordered to referee certain games, referee certain players, give this team an advantage, give this team a disadvantage, make sure this team wins, make sure this team loses. Now, a lot of people will say, well, you know, some of these refs, they're betting on games, and I'm pretty sure they might be betting on games. They might have their wife's second cousin, brother, best friend make a bet on a game. But I think it's more of the NBA Adam Silver doing this on his own. He's trying to control, and he has a problem trying to control the narrative. That's why the media is the way it is. That's why the game is the way it is, because he wants to control everything. He wants to make the NBA to what he believes the NBA should be, instead of just letting it be the way it always was and letting competition decide these games and not giving no team and the players advantages that they should not have. So is Adam Silver Vince McMahon? And now we're officially watching the WWE basketball version with storylines and the media all going out there, you know, making people villains, and, you know, this person's toxic and he's a vampire, and is it good, you know, you scratch our back, you do what we want you to do, then we'll go ahead and keep your network afloat and you'll still have a job. But if you don't do what I tell you to do, we'll take your network away and give it to Amazon, and then you won't have a job. And then you won't have a credential to be invited to these NBA plays, games, in these arenas. We won't acknowledge you as a media source. This video, I could keep going and going. This is a conspiracy video, but with some truth that makes you ask these questions. What's really going on in the NBA? I'm your boy, Jay Shard. This is a Behind the Bench Network production. Check out the Behind the Bench crew. If you like this type of content, subscribe, like, share. Until then, I'm out.